Recently, I released an alpha test of my ninja game that I had my Discord members play. And I have to say, it was quite interesting the feedback I got from the gameplay. It wasn't anything about the game actually, it was mostly about the player controls and movements. Most of the feedback I got was from player movements too slow, or it needs to be a little bit faster, or I need to change some of the controls. So what do I mean by player controls? I mean using the dots usually to move or the arrow keys. I was using J and K for actions, and a lot of the players didn't like that actually, the playtesters. They suggested I should just change it to ZX or spacebar and E. Also in a previous game, I have spacebar to open an inventory, but nobody liked that. Everybody wanted to keep spacebar as either jumping or some sort of action. But I wanted to see why that is, so I wanted to do a little bit more research on the specifics of player controls. So before you start making your first game, consider this for player controls. And the reason why you want to have easy player controls, of course, is accessibility. So you want to make it where you can easily use your left hand and right, be able to move and be able to shoot with your mouse. Right? That's always been the case, right? Was use your left hand to move, and then the mouse is to use or target an enemy. So example, if you're using like a 2D game and you're not using your mouse, you want to be able to use only your left hand. Right hands typically you don't use it. You can use the spacebar, of course, on controls or shift, but typically you want to be able to use just the left hand, just for player 2D player movements. And this has always been the case, but I wanted to know why. Why wouldn't people want to learn a different way? And the reason why, number two reason is to reduce the learning curve. Obviously, you don't want to get into a game. You want to play a game and just have fun with it. You don't want to learn something new from it, right? You don't want to like have like a class on how to move or how to do different things. Unless if it's kind of like a game like that, it's kind of like a more learning sort of thing. But typically, you want to just get immersed into the game. You have the player get immersed into the game and start playing it right away. You don't want to start, teaching the player, oh, this is how you move, and you have to follow this combination of codes, and you don't want to be like like a Mortal Kombat fatality sort of thing where you have to memorize all these, combinations of, of codes to do something special. Unless if it is something like a fatality. And speaking of combinations of code, you want to be able to have the player immediately engage in the game. So what I mean by immediately engage, you don't want to have like the players kind of have like a weird combination. Let's say you're using a keyboard. You don't want to have like the key be, somewhere far, like A, and then all of a sudden you have to hit like maybe like P or something or colon just to do something special. You want to be able to immediately just have that quick engagement with the player where it's easily you can easily move, you can easily shoot, you don't have to memorize so much, and you can right away enjoy the game. That's really the main purpose of having games, is just to be enjoyable. You don't have to like have it to be a chore. You want it to be something else you can escape. So now that we get the reasons why, and then there's more of the research, here's some of the typical player mapping controls. So we already know WSD, arrow keys is for movements, right? That shouldn't be anything else but movement. You shouldn't use it for anything else, of course. Spacebar is usually a jump feature, and we can blame Mario for this one. Typically, spacebars, you want to use it for jumping or maybe some sort of action, but typically, spacebar is usually left for jumping. And X is usually only for an action. You can use it as a narrative action. You can use it to interact or grab objects. Now here's the tricky one. Z is for shooting. Typically, I always see Z being used for shooting, and that's an easy way of memorizing it. Now here's an interesting one also. E and Q usually is used for rotating a camera around, especially on a 3D game. You want to use that for rotating. And then control, we can blame Mario for this one as well, is for stomping down. So if you jump up, control, you stomp down. And then, of course, the last one is holding shift to run. So those are the typical mapping controls that I've seen in player games. They're all in the left-hand side, right? They're not in the right hands. You don't see JK, you don't see P or Y. Typically, those are the typical player controls. But I would like to hear from you guys. What do you usually use for controls, or what kind of like do you favor to use for playing a game that you use controls with? I'd like to hear, you can post your comments down below. So with that said and all that research done, I'm currently working on my game, the Ninja game, and then I'm working on, I'm kind of configuring a little bit some of the controls that you guys were asking for. I'm also having the player be playable on the player control as well on Xbox controller. The one thing I am adding is a charge attack. So I know someone suggested it to be able to charge through an enemy. That'll be pretty cool. So I'm adding that feature to the game. I'm also adding a couple more enemies, and I'm also adding a couple, difficulty settings as well. So I'll be doing that process currently, and hopefully I'll have this game maybe by this year. I'm aiming to have it done by this year. I'm not gonna do it too long. I probably would like to add a couple more levels. Currently, I have the mountain area, the dungeon area, and then the swamp area. So I would like to add another fourth level. I don't want to make the game too long or too difficult. And that's all I have for this video, guys. So this was going to be a short one. If you guys like this video, go ahead and like, comment down below if you'd like to see more of these type of videos, and I'll see you all next time.